Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Rachel Gaffney's Real Ireland, live from the Lincoln Centre here in Dallas. Anna, good to have you with me again today.
Hi Rachel, how are you?
I'm good. How are you keeping?
Good.
Yeah, a little chilly outside.
Oh yes, it is.
I know, it's about 44 degrees out there. So, and I believe it's supposed to warm up again tomorrow. So we always start off talking about the weather, but you know, the weather at the moment is a bit apropos for today's show because the weather is what inspires, you know, this cold weather, you know, winter and fall and Christmas and everything. So definitely we'll be talking about some staying inside, being warm, some cooking, some soups, some baking maybe this time.
Oh my gosh, last episode was so great because we all were kind of like mouth-watering and ready for the season of soup and baking and everything else, and I'm so excited for what you have in the box today.
Absolutely. And speaking of last episode, if you remember the last episode, we had a couple of visitors.
Oh my gosh.
The two Sarahs from Real News. But more interestingly, or very interestingly, Sarah Strackhouse, who is one of the journalists here at Real News Communication in Dallas, revealed to me that she's actually going to be in Ireland next year. Do you remember that in the last episode? And we kind of said, well, where should Sarah go? We were going to involve people from Ireland and from here in the States and maybe give her some suggestions. So I asked her to be on with us here today, and we will talk about where should Sarah go.
I am so excited to be here. Hello. And, you know, when I've been thinking so much about it, and obviously if I'm going to Ireland, there's no one else that I can ask except for you.
Well, thank you. But yeah. I think we need to involve the help of other people, enlist the help of people out there and say, okay, where should Sarah go? Mm-hmm. So let's look at this a little carefully. So you're going next year, 2020.
Yes.
You're going to different parts of Europe first. You're visiting some family in Italy, is it?
Yes, in Italy. Yeah.
So you have
Italian blood. Yep.
Oh my goodness. You got an Irish woman and an Italian woman and a Portuguese woman in the studios here today.
Winning team.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Yeah, we've got the trifecta. And of course, none of us are emotional people at all.
No, never.
None of us come from fiery, passionate.
We don't get mad at the drop of a dime.
No. Redheads, Italians, Portuguese, Irish. We got the whole lot in one box here today. But all right, so you're going to be going roughly around February the 24th to March the 4th, 2020.
Yes.
So what I want to ask people is, where should you go? And have you been thinking about it since the last time I saw you or talked about this?
A lot. And I've been thinking about, I remember you saying, you know, what do you like? What are you interested in doing? And, you know, I've obviously followed along with all of your shows and just kind of all the fun stuff. So I'm really open to anything.
Okay.
You know, we love to eat out. We love little pubs and diners and cool spots like that. But I remember you talking about the Oysters.
Yes.
I've been thinking a lot about it. And that'd be something cool to do. We're open to try new things. You know, we're there for about 5 or 6 days. So.
All right, so I'm going to do a call out here on camera.
Okay.
I honestly have not told them this or anything, but I'm going to ask them. So I think we should reach out to Carlingford Oysters. And Carlingford is in County Louth. So if you look at the map of Ireland, you've got Dublin on the east coast, and then you've got Carlingford, which is in County Louth. Louth is known as the smallest to the wee county, but it's the county north of Dublin, and there in Carlingford, overlooking Carlingford Lough, they have some of the world's best oysters. Now, we have wonderful oysters in Galway, that's the other coast, but as you're going to be on this side, I think you should go visit them and try their oysters, and maybe they'll show you around and maybe teach you a few things about shucking oysters.
That would be awesome.
And they'll tell you about why their oysters are so special and how the water runs down off the mountains and filters through, you know, because oysters, I don't know if you know this, but you know, the water is filtered through oysters, and that's what gives them the different flavors.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so oysters taste different in different parts of Ireland and different parts of the world, and it's based on, you know, the water they're filtering. So in Carlingford, they talk about the water's coming down off the mountains, it's coming across the limestone, over the heathers, into the loch, and by the time that water comes through, and the oysters are filtering all this water every day, the flavors are being passed on, and you get that in the flavor of the oyster.
That would be so cool, especially because we do love seafood. You know, we're from the Northeast, New Jersey, New York area, so we... But so we have the American side of seafood. I'm excited to try the Irish side.
Okay, so I'm going to ask Carlingford Oysters if they would like to welcome Sarah and her husband Fred, who will be over that part of the world for a few days. And we'll send you up there and see what you think. And then you can send us some pictures or send us a postcard and tell us what you think of oysters from Ireland.
I will. Maybe I'll take a little video of us in the water trying to shuck some oysters and see how that goes. Hopefully I don't fall.
They make it look so easy, that oyster shucking.
Yeah.
I know if you're doing it all the time, but like, I'm awful. I mean, I nearly took my own palm off, you know, with the knife and everything. But one of the guys came to my rescue and did it. So we'll definitely talk about that, because when it comes to food, I mean, I don't know about you, but I love food, and I love, you know, this kind of weather. You know, it sort of makes me want to get back in the kitchen.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I look forward to, weird enough, my Sunday meal prep. Yeah. And I don't normally look forward to it, but this kind of weather, I mean, and I'm, of course, sitting here in front of all of your spices, and I can just smell everything coming out here. But yeah, so I'm excited to get back in the kitchen, too.
There's something about when you're not creating a meal that's mandatory, you know, that 4 or 5 o'clock, I got to get home, I got to make the dinner. This is different. Now, I just wrote an article the other day, and it was inspired by something that I saw that made me feel very kind of homesick, or maybe the word is nostalgia. And that got me thinking about a few different things. One of those things was Christmas and Christmas baking or holiday baking in anybody's household. Not just, you know, I know this is Rachel Gaffney's Real Ireland, and it's mostly about Ireland. But the other thing that people don't talk about when it comes to Irish food and Irish cooking is that baking is a huge part of Irish lifestyle. As long as I can remember, you know, baking, people don't associate Ireland with baking. They associate France and Austria and Germany and beautiful patisseries and everything, but we bake on a level that's not just for show, but there's always a slice of something in somebody's home. And we also love to feed people. You come to our house and, you know, my sons even say it here, you never stop feeding people. So the baking season is huge.
I was going to say, I know that. I've been on the receiving end. I've been very fortunate. Sometimes she brings in food and we all steal pieces. We try to wait till after the show, but...
But come here, isn't that's what this is about, this episode. I want to talk about the baking. And have we lost the art of making a few things and giving them to people as a gift for no other reason, whether it's a holiday or Christmas, but you just... make it and give it. I mean, give some joy. And it sounds really trite, but it's so great. Like, I look at these containers that you can get now, these little disposable different colors. Cute. Look at these. You can make different loaves, you know, a gingerbread, a chai loaf, a tea loaf, whatever you want, you know, and bake it in this. I mean, look at them. They're already sort of pre-lined and greased and everything. And then you can wrap them in greaseproof paper or whatever, wrap some ribbon and present them beautifully and give them to somebody. And so I thought I would do a Christmas baking class this year on December the 9th. And where this came from, now I know all of you must have what I'm about to show you. So these are some of I went through, you know how people have these beautiful recipe index boxes and files, and yes, I have all those too. People give them to me, and I have cookbooks, I'm sure you do too. This one I found. This one is, and you probably can't really see it very well here, but it says Flake Fanfare. You can see some of these recipes that I photographed. There's grease stains on them. This one is from 1985, and I got it on the back of a flake box for Christmas. And I felt the need to handwrite the recipe. This is a sticky gingerbread loaf with, you know, you can see that the vanilla and the ginger is all over the paper. This is an old recipe I had from Nevin Maguire, sticky orange upside down cake with pencil marks ticking it, showing, oh yeah, did that. This one is from Stork, which was in Ireland we used to, it's a margarine type of thing growing up. Festive mince pies. It was a freebie booklet that was given out by Paula Daly or whatever. So we all have the equivalent in our own homes.
Yeah.
Mine are Irish and English, a mixture,
They're well-loved recipes.
aren't they?
Yeah, they're, you've made them and you have memories attached to them now.
And so I was thinking with all this noise in the background, and I say noise because I do find, I don't know about you, but sometimes whether it's on Facebook or especially Twitter, people are very brave on Twitter. People are kind of jumping at each other and just saying things and being nasty. And food is a great connector. Mm-hmm. And it evokes a lot of memories. So I thought today we'd talk a little bit about Christmas baking and what Christmas baking means, more importantly, to you in your home. And I'd love to hear about it. If you have a recipe, do you have old cookbooks that you remember your grandmother gave you, whatever? Mm-hmm. So the baking, I thought I'd show you a few tips. So we're going to have a class.
Please. That would be great.
So here's...
Because I want to go to your class on December 9th, too.
Okay,
So.
well, there's a class on December 9th, and
Yes.
I'm hosting it at 3015 Trinity Groves in Dallas, which is, do you know where that is? Over across the Margaret Hunter Bridge?
That's a great location.
Yeah.
And very central, very easy to get to.
Didn't you do a report from there once?
Yeah, so I went out to a report there, and it was a food tasting kind of place, and I can't remember what the story was. It was some sort of a fundraiser, but it's a great location.
Yeah, it really is. And so what we have is we have 8 baking stations for this evening. So on December the 9th, you need to bring your own apron. So everybody has one. Mm-hmm. And the more, like if it was your granny's, if it was yours, if it's a Christmas apron, it's your favorite, whatever. If you don't, let us know and we'll provide you one. But really and truly, I have a photograph on the events page of the group of girls the last time, and it's up there right now. And they all brought their own aprons, and they were proud to say, oh, this is when I get together and I bake with my friends or whatever. So what we're going to do is we're going to get together and bake. The class is $65. And this is not really a baking class. You're not coming to really learn how to bake, because it's really an excuse to get together. My house or my kitchen isn't big enough for 32 people. Mm-hmm. So everybody come, bring a recipe that you have a story or a book, even if it's just to tell us about it over a glass of wine.
Yeah.
BYOB.
Perfect.
And trust me, when I did these before with the BYOB, Anna, people sometimes, they're getting very festive and they're having a glass and they're, messing with each other. So I have to keep control of the kitchen too.
A glass or two.
Yeah. So what I have to do is, what I'm going to do is have ready-made gingerbread, ready-made, shortbread, different things like that. And then you'll cut them out and bake them. But the idea then afterwards is to maybe decorate or take away a box yourself. So this is really like a great big just cookie night where you're going to come and bake.
I've always wanted to make gingerbread, but I'm nervous to try it just because it seems hard, so I've never actually wanted to try it. So maybe someone will bring a gingerbread recipe. That could be cool.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to provide the gingerbread recipe and the dough. I'll have it pre-made, because with this class for about 2 hours to have that many people rolling and cutting and baking and then cooling and putting them in boxes. And don't forget, they chat and drink glasses of wine and play tricks on each other and laugh and tell stories. So, if we're to do all the pre-making beforehand, it's a 4-hour class.
Yeah.
So we'll have all those doughs. But it's the smells, it's the aromas, it's the spices. And for me...
the ones coming from right here.
So I wanted to show you a few little tricks.
Okay.
So here's something I do. And this one is vanilla sugar.
Oh, that's got to be cool.
So all I do is take the jar, and this one has extra fine granulated sugar in there. And in this sugar are some fresh vanilla beans or vanilla pods. And I leave them in here just all year round. I just scrape down the side, and that just infuses the sugar. So if I want to have a cookie or something that isn't assaulted by flavor, I put that in. Maybe you could grab one at the end there, the tall one.
Oh.
You open that one.
Okay.
See what's in that. Can you identify any of those?
Okay. So this smell actually brings me a memory. So I think cloves.
Yes.
Yes. And then I see a cinnamon stick.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
mixture.
What memory for you?
So the cloves, my Italian grandmother, just straight off the boat, funny pepper pot kind of woman, and she used to have us around Christmas time. She used to have us put cloves into oranges, and then we would set them out, and we'd get that Christmas smell, or we'd set them out, actually have them in our cars, and the cars would smell
did
great.
you really?
Yeah. The only thing was if you forgot to throw them out.
Oh, wow.
It was a little, not really a great smell, but it was like for a very long time. And then when we were done with them, we would throw them in the fire, and the fire would have kind of a clove orangey smell.
Isn't it
so it's
lovely?
such a good memory.
And where did you do this with your grandmother?
At our house in
Texas?
New Jersey. I'm actually
New Jersey.
originally from New Jersey, and she had we would go to her house sometimes. She used to live kind of by the shore, and then we would do it at our house. So just a lot of good memories.
Now, what you're doing there, so here's another one, and the same for me, and that's why I wrote this article that, smell and aroma is very powerful. And, this baking evening, like I said to you, you can go to a cooking class anywhere. You can go and learn how to bake and cook and chop and peel, and you do not come to any of my, I say classes, you do not come to my events because you're going to get some skills, because you'll lose your fingers, you need insurance policies, I'm not a chef, but you're going to come for a bit of fun, and you're going to come for a bit of nostalgia, and more importantly for some connection, because I think we need to connect more, we need to talk more, we need to slow down a bit.
Put the phones down and...
Look at us, we've no phones here. So smell this.
Okay.
See if anybody knows what these are.
Oh.
Anna, do you recognize what she has in this jar at all?
I can't see it very well. Hang on.
I'll show you these little tiny, they look like black peppercorns.
Yeah, they do. But I can't
I
figure out
wonder,
what
does
it
anybody
is.
know? Are we having any luck with Facebook
All right,
Live today?
yes, I did want to come in here to say that we've been on for something like 15 minutes on air, but seems like Facebook. We know that there's 4 people watching. And thank you so much to, let me check, Michelle Vieira and Kathleen Kelly Lepore, who liked us. Sorry guys, we can't see the comments right now, but we know that you're watching, so thank you so much. So if you don't know, you can always drop a comment in the section below to let us know, and we'll read that afterwards. So I can't guess, but I really need to know what that is, Rachel.
Okay, so it's allspice.
Allspice.
I've never seen it in its true form, I guess.
Because normally it's sold, ground and everything.
Yeah.
So the allspice, if you take one out like this, I mean, you can see they really do look like black peppercorns, don't they? And they're known as Jamaican pepper or allspice. And the reason they were known as Jamaican pepper, well, actually, the reason they're called allspice is because when the British invaded Jamaica, married to an Englishman, I love to give him a hard time. They always took all of us over, didn't they? But when Britain took over Jamaica, they took them over from the Spanish, actually. They found these, and they called them allspice because it was reminiscent of the smell of clove and nutmeg and pepper. It's kind of like, when you smell it, you go, all of them are there, aren't they? Like, all those scents are there.
Well, because I smelled this first and then smelled that, and I was like, well, I know it's not cloves, but...
Similar?
Oh, almost nutmeg-ish, almost.
So a lot of people think that allspice is a blend of spices. It's not. So this comes from a tree that is indigenous to the Caribbean, Mexico, and Central America.
Are they families?
That's a good question, but these are like a dried, it's a dried unripened fruit, and that's what it looks like. But then when you take them and you grind them down, and they're even, so when they're in this form, they're more powerful. They're more potent. Have you noticed I've kept them in glass?
Yes, I know. And I love how the shape of all these different ones.
So you need to keep your spices in some glass jars. That's so much better for you.
So instead of
plastic? Yes,
okay.
They'll keep them fresher for longer. Of course, I'm kind of getting rid of all the plastic in my house anyway. I don't like all that stuff. But these, and then I said to a friend the other day, I said, I'm like a World War II child. And she said to me, Rachel, you're like a Depression era person. Forget the World War II.
Save everything.
Yeah, because look, this was an old spice thing. So I take these off, I soak them in hot water or Goo Be Gone, and then I use them for things like this. I put my cinnamon sticks and my cloves in there, or like that. If you grab that one, that was an old mustard jar.
Oh my gosh, that is cute.
But I liked the lid, the black and gold, because I like the shape. And then I just take something like, you see this labels? And I just wrote clove sugar on it.
Just like back in the day, yeah, people used to do that all the time. It just makes sense.
But look, inside it is the nutmeg and the clove.
I need to smell that. Oh.
It just makes me homesick sometimes.
The
It's
two of you are there smelling, and I'm here in the control room, and I'm thinking,
Sorry,
I'm so
and I'm
jealous.
sure people watching going, is this a show about them
Right?
smelling spices?
I mean, I could literally sit here and smell it all day. Just, it makes me want to go home and like buy a bunch of cloves and make an orange right now and bake.
But it just, every time I do this, it makes me feel good.
Yep.
I just feel good, and I know that the feeling good is coming from the fact that you are remembering what happened in your home. Now, I will tell you, I remember all the disasters at Christmas. I'm sure they're there somewhere. I remember late at night, Christmas Eve, and my mother trying to get us to Christmas Eve Mass and couldn't get us all together, and the car getting stuck on the hill and the ice and the slippy on the roads, and I remember us fighting. I remember those things too, but somehow those all disappear.
Yep.
They just disappear. It's kind of like childbirth. If you had one and you remember for the rest of your life, well, we'll never have any more children. But, sometimes things disappear and the really good memories come to the front because what you remember is...
holding the baby for the first time.
You do.
Yeah.
But you remember just being, in your parents' house or like you said, in your grandmother's house. I bet you have recipes from somewhere belonging to your mom or your grandmom or something.
Oh, yeah. I have this old notebook. And the same thing as you. I mean, I have the big, shiny, cookbooks that people have given me, or the nice pieces of like the Rolex, the Rolodex. But I have this one notebook that is just everything, all of my grandmother's Italian recipes written in there, and then random pieces of paper stuffed in there, and it's stained and it's crinkly, and the paper I'm like really delicate as I move it. But it's those kind of recipes that are so.
I actually have to ask you, talking about recipes though, my mom, and I want to know if this is all moms or just my mom.
Yeah.
When I ask her, you'll go through her old recipe book, and it's, again, all stain, all marks of everything and anything, and then she will say garlic and codfish and onion, and I'm like, how many? She's like, you will know, you eyeball it. Is it just my mom?
No, my grandmother has this bread that I think I've kind of told you about. She has this bread, and she has just yeast written. And I used to make it with her because she refused to write it down for a very long time. And it's been passed down now from her mother, but it's a handful of yeast, and it's she refuses to write down like an actual measurement or measure it out or anything like that, but it's
Pinch of salt.
I know, yeah. So I just have to get or not yeast, salt, not a handful of yeast.
Well,
but,
you would be correct because actually recipe writing has evolved. Now I don't know if any of you know this, but do you remember the book The Joy of Cooking?
Yeah,
It's a great American staple. Do you remember seeing that on shelves here? The Joy of Cooking.
Yeah, I do remember seeing that.
So the new edition came out this week. And I think it's the third or fourth edition. It's written by, remember the famous Irma, say it for me, Irma Bumbar, I can't remember her name properly. But the new one came out this week, and they've updated with lots of new recipes. And the person who wrote it is a husband and wife team, and he is...
Irma S. Rumbauer?
Rumbauer, that's it.
There we go.
And it's her grandson that's now doing it. But when his grandmother wrote The Joy of Cooking, again, it was not really about, cooking classes. She would write, a smidge of or pour some of this. And, I remember my grandmother making stuff and saying to me, throw in some raisins. And I still do that. And I wrote a recipe for a newspaper, which shall remain nameless, here in the city once. And I submitted it, and they had to ask me maybe 2 or 3 times. I think they were getting very frustrated to rewrite it because they said the reader will want to know exactly. And even down to, for example, if you had parsley or something on the photograph, even if it was only for decoration, you had to write that in. I was thinking, are people really that stupid? Because I'm so Irish, I'll just, say whatever comes into my head, unfortunately. Right. But yes, people, we've kind of, I'm sorry, but kind of dumbing down cooking and baking for people, where every little thing has to. And I look at some of the cookbooks from Ireland. I just bought a new one, and I immediately started thinking in terms of, wow, they didn't mention this, this, and this. Now I know what to do.
Right.
But they're still writing, some people are still writing based on how people bake or cook.
Yeah.
How they think they bake or cook. But yes, I think our grandmothers, they did know by looking, what a pinch meant, and a handful and a sprinkling of, of, and put it in the oven until golden brown. You tell somebody that now, and they're like, well, how many is it? 17.2 minutes?
Right. Well, and she used to
and what
say,
shade of gold?
Yeah, and at one point it was like, put it in very hot and then lower. And I'm
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
And then she says, lower it halfway through. I'm like, halfway through? What does this mean?
Yes.
But you do, like, after especially burning a couple of them, you do learn how, what
You absolutely do.
Yeah.
And the same with when you come, and you and I were talking about before the show, and I think this is really important. I love Instagram. Okay, it's kind of like crack for me.
For everyone, I think.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's like Pinterest. For me, it's electronic hoarding. And there's nothing wrong with it.
That's great.
But because I'm a hoarder with magazines and stuff, so at least Pinterest, I keep doing that.
It's all online, right?
Yeah. So there's no more boxes. And the feeds are beautiful. And so, I was looking on Pinterest last night. I was looking at some Christmas stuff, and I thought, wow, look at this. And everything looks like something out of Architectural Digest, Southern Living. And that, I know from being the industry I'm in and you're in, there are probably 12 hours gone into some of these photographs prior
For one photo.
with the team, with all that. We mustn't forget that. We must not forget that. And what we mustn't forget is that most, including the people who write the recipes and photograph, and the food stylists themselves, have recipes like this in their house, stained and well loved, and as you said, which I love, crinkly. Now for me, and that one has like holes in it and red pen and everything from 1985.
It's hard from spills.
I love how I even signed it, authored it, Rachel Gaffney at the bottom in 1985.
Oh, wow.
Now, despite the fact that I took it off the back of a chocolate flakes box.
This is now mine.
It's now mine, I'm sure Flake are going to come after me, with their patent pending. But there's something about these recipes. So if you want to come along with us on December the 9th at 3015 Trinity Groves, I think we've got the link up, do we, Anna?
Yeah, we do.
And
that's on your website for where people can get tickets?
It's on my Facebook page, and it's on my website. It's under the events section on my website, rachelgaffneys.com. But on the Facebook page, Rachel Gaffney's Real Ireland, and the events page, December the 9th, and then the link is there for the tickets that send you straight through. And it's maxed out at 32 people.
Okay.
That is the capacity we can take, because we've got 8 stations. I can only put so many per station. And, it starts at 6:30. And dress comfy.
Yeah.
And bring your apron, bring your A game, bring your,
and order soon.
and even if you want to do like your Christmas sweater or whatever, but that's...
I have a good onesie.
Oh, do you really?
I do, yes. I have a polar bear onesie, and then I have a Christmas lamp from the Christmas Story onesie.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right, before we actually close the show, Rachel,
Sorry.
I was able to read one comment, Mary Toll, saying that Rachel watching, I can't have a Christmas pudding without the spices. Oh, I can still get the aroma.
Who said that? Mary?
Mary Toll.
Oh,
TOA.
Mary, Christmas pudding. I'm sure a lot of people watching who know, there are those that know what Christmas pudding is and those that don't, which is a very traditional dish in England and Ireland. And I remember my mother making Christmas pudding back in August. And it's not a Christmas cake. It's done with suet and fruits and every different spice that Mary just mentioned. Zested oranges, zested lemons, stout, whiskey, and the whole lot. And then they're steamed for about 8 hours. And then I serve one every Christmas. My kids love it. My husband loves it. And I turn it upside down, pour brandy, put holly on it and brandy, and we flambe it and we serve it with brandy butter. And it is... Oh, Mary, thank you for that memory. That was so lovely.
You just took
Your
us on a
eyes just
journey.
lit up.
It's just food is such a great connector. So but look, I said to you, I'm talking about my Christmas, my memories, Irish, but you're talking about your grandmother's, you talk about the oranges with the cloves. Anna, you're talking about Portugal. Have you got a Christmas memory for us, a baking one?
Yes. So my grandma, from my dad's side, this is the most hilarious thing that we love. She makes this cake, which is kind of like a souffle, and every single time she gets it wrong. And it gets it ugly. And she says, if the cake comes out beautiful, it's going to be awful and you can't have it. So it's the one thing that we always joke about. She says, if it looks pretty, it won't be any good.
So the uglier it is, the tastier it is.
I'm going to start using that because I can never get my stuff to look pretty.
But we're obsessed with that. That's what I'm saying about Instagram and Pinterest.
Yeah.
We're obsessed with these feeds now that we can't produce. And I don't get invited by people anymore. Nobody invites me to their home for a tea or coffee and a slice of cake. You know, that's very Irish, but I did that here for a couple of years ago. I just invited a load of ladies and I decided to have an Irish coffee morning, and it was literally not Irish coffee.
Right, that's what I was
Right. But coffee mornings are big in England and Ireland, where you come to somebody's home about 11 o'clock and you have a couple of different cakes and some mince pies or whatever, which are sweet, not as savoury, and pots of tea, pots of coffee, cell phones are put on the side, and you sit down, and I light my fire, and we all sit down, and that's what we do. We have a slice and a cup of something, and we sit and chat for an hour and a half, and that's it.
We need to bring that here. I mean, I feel like there's so many amazing
no
customs
gifts. This
there,
isn't about, you know, giving each other presents. Sometimes somebody
Just
will bring you a
spending
candle or
time
something.
together.
But my present to my friends was, all come over. I'm going to bake for you, and I'm serving you tea and coffee. And of course, people love the good old Irish tea, the berries tea.
Do you know what I like about that? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
I think that it's unpretentious.
Well, it is, and people talk to each other.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just about spending time together.
Because I want to hear more about, you know, what was Christmas like in Portugal. I want to hear more like, what was your Christmas like in New Jersey? I mean, I'm sure our dinners were different and our Christmas Eves were different and the customs we had, and, you know, we had to go to Mass and that waiting for Santa Claus and everything. I mean, I still believe in Santa Claus.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know?
He's still, you know, he still fills my stocking.
Does he?
Santa Claus, thank you so much for still filling my stocking almost to age 30. Huge shout out, thank you.
I still got my stocking filled too.
Yeah.
Every year. So, but on that note, this has been fun because I'm excited about December the 9th, the baking class. If anybody wants to come, sign up. The link is there. And don't forget, we're going to follow on where we're going to go next for Sarah. I think we're going to do the Oysters in Carlingford. And we have to go somewhere else. I'm thinking back into Dublin itself. So we've got to find you a couple of places to go and visit and see in Dublin.
I forgot to mention my husband does like to golf.
Ooh, okay. So somewhere in that area. So we'll do that. We'll follow on with that. And then, really quickly, I nearly forgot. And then we'll finish. Sorry. Darina Allen. Darina Allen is known as the Julia Child of Ireland. Darina Allen, I am chatting with her next week in studio. I'm interviewing her. If you have any questions that you would like me to ask Darina, it's the world famous Ballymaloo House and Cooking School. I know that I have friends here in Dallas and different parts of the States that have been over there on her 12-week courses and everything. But this woman is iconic in the Irish food industry. Her mother-in-law, Myrtle Allen, and her daughter-in-law, Rachel Allen. So I'm going to be interviewing her for the show. So if you have any questions, please, please, please tell me. Food-related ones, obviously. I don't want to ask about her marriage or anything. Or her, you know, private life. So food-related questions. So we will be doing that. I have Guinness coming on December the 4th. We're going to have a Guinness Christmas cocktail.
I am so excited about this.
Definitely going to be sneaking in that episode.
I'm sure you will, and I'm sure a few others. So I think on that note, until then, everybody take care, keep warm, and see you all soon.